Bottom line up front, Mexico's anti-corruption architecture weakened in 2024 and 2025. The country hit a record low on Transparency International's index, and the Independent Transparency Institute was eliminated. For operators, that means higher exposure to bribery, procurement fraud, and abusive enforcement, especially where business intersects with police and state-owned enterprises. Mexico's score is 26 out of 100. That places it 140th of 180 countries, its worst result on record, and last among OECD members. Regional peers do better. Brazil scores 34. Chile scores 63. The global average is 43. The trend line is not a blip. It reflects years of weak accountability and unfinished reforms. A pivotal change landed on December 20th, 2024. Lawmakers approved a constitutional reform that eliminated the independent access to information watchdog known as NIAI and reassigned its functions inside the executive branch. The practical effect? Less independent oversight, slower and less predictable access to state records, and more room for political friction when companies seek documents for due diligence, audits, or dispute defense. At the ground level, the most corruption-prone touchpoint is law enforcement. In Mexico's National Governance Survey, a large majority of adults describe corruption as frequent, and 6 in 10 people who had contact with public security authorities in 2023 report encountering some act of corruption. That picture is consistent with high-profile sweeps in December 2024, when authorities detained 92 municipal police in Comitán, Chiapas, for allegedly tipping off criminal groups using city cameras, and arrested 13 Veracruz state police for alleged participation in forced disappearances. For business travelers, site managers, and logistics teams, those facts translate into operational risk during checkpoints, inspections, and incident response. Corruption pressure also flows through public spending channels. Mexico's biggest scandals illustrate the pattern. La Estafa Maestra exposed the diversion of billions of pesos through public universities and shell vendors. The Odebrecht and Agronitrogenados affairs revealed bribery tied to Pemex and procurement decisions. More recently, the Segalmex food security program produced multi-billion peso irregularities and arrests, including a La Consa operations executive taken into custody in April 2025. Across cases, the constant is impunity at senior levels and protracted timelines that blunt deterrence. Financial crime risk is the other half of the picture. U.S. actions in 2025 detail how Sinaloa-linked money laundering networks move proceeds using currency exchange houses, shell companies, and arbitrage at the border. One designated operator was assessed to have laundered at least $16.5 million. For corporates, that means counterparty screening cannot stop at the first layer. Exposure often hides in secondary payment rails and trade flows. What does this mean for operators and investors? Treat Mexico as a high-corruption, high-interference market until indicators improve. The mission is resilience. Prevent the ask, detect the attempt, and be ready to escalate. Here is the playbook. 1. Mandate enhanced due diligence for any spend that touches the public sector or state-owned enterprises. Verified beneficial owns. Screen for politically exposed persons. Run adverse media checks. Cross-reference counterparties against audit findings and investigative reporting. Require audit rights up and down the subcontracting chain. 2. Tighten procurement controls around classic red flags. Do not allow pass-through awards via public universities or state-owned entities without top-tier audit access. Pre-clear single-bid tenders, integrated services bundles, and emergency contracts. After award, monitor invoices and delivery to catch off-contract scope creep. 3. Formalize a public security interaction protocol. For checkpoints, inspections, and incident response, deploy 2-person teams. Record interactions with approved cameras where lawful. prohibit cash transactions in the field, log every contact, and then review those logs monthly to spot solicitation patterns and hotspots. 4. Reassess state-owned enterprise exposure. Raise approval thresholds for Pemex-linked contracts and other state-owned enterprises. Bake in debarment clauses, audit rights, and strict gift and hospitality prohibitions. Track developments in the Odebrecht and Agronitrogenados matters for counterparty risk. 5. Build an independent transparency pipeline. Since NIAI is thawing, do not rely solely on public ministerial responses. Where lawful, mirror key public records. Automate pulls from audit reports, court bulletins, and procurement portals. Keep a clean chain of custody so evidence stands up in internal reviews and regulatory inquiries. 6. Lock down banking and foreign exchange risk. Set lower AML triggers for peso to dollar flows. Watch exposure to exchange houses and cash-intensive vendors. Demand full documentary trails. When flows look like known laundering patterns, run SAR-style reviews and escalate. 7. Close intelligence gaps. First, validate legacy prosecution and conviction rates with authoritative statistics before presenting them to boards. Second, track the implementing rules that replace NIAI functions, including deadlines, appeal paths, and data quality standards. Those details will determine how fast evidence can be obtained when it matters. The assessment. Confidence is medium-high on the structural deterioration and on law enforcement exposure, given converging indices, laws, and arrests. Confidence is medium on historical conviction rate statistics until official datasets are reconciled. The operating assumption for the next year is that anti-corruption guardrails remain weaker than they were in 2023. Plan accordingly. Dominion Risk Intelligence stands ready to support CSOs, GSOs, and legal teams with targeted due diligence, vendor triage, and incident response planning tailored to Mexico's current risk landscape.